everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily Show YouTube channel. The best way to support the show on this YouTube channel is to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and or share it with a friend. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode, and whichever way you choose to support the show, I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. I hope that today's message and episode brings some bit of positive change to your life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily Show. I am your host, Emily Hayden, and this week we have a very special guest. He is one of my good friends who I've actually known for quite a few years now. He is a husband for 4 years, a father of 4. He just had a little girl to add to his twin boys, so we're really excited for that. He's been a trainer for 18 years. He's ranked Dallas-Fort Worth's #1 trainer from 2008 to 2009. He's an IFBB Pro, 4-time Olympian, placed 5th, 3rd, and 7th, the only type 1 diabetic male to ever make it to the Olympia. He's the founder and owner of W0N CBD, LA Cruise Jewelry, Fit God Fitness App, WKA Productions, and partner with Transcend HRT. He is sponsored with Phorm, Rain Total Body Fuel, The Beard Struggle, and Nutrition Solutions. Everybody welcome Jason Poston to the show. Jason, welcome.
Thank you. Man, I have a lot going on.
You do. Sometimes you don't realize it until you start writing it down, right?
Exactly. If people ask me, I think that's why I got these bags in my eyes right here. But, we'll talk about how we can help that later, right?
Yeah, of course. Which, by the way, I kind of mentioned you're with Transcend, right? So for everyone watching, I've recently spoken about Transcend, and Jason is actually my good friend that got me involved with the company. And, we've talked a little bit about my progress, but dude, Jason, I feel amazing. Okay, so first it felt like a light came back on, and now it feels like I'm recovering better. I'm sleeping better than I've ever slept. I used to not be able to train more than 2 days in a row, and I'd have to take an off day or a rest day or a cardio day. I just trained 4 days in a row, and I feel amazing, and I'm going to train tomorrow.
That's great.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you had told me we were just in conversation. You were telling me some basic issues you're having. And I kind of felt like I've been there. Like you're almost kind of venting, just like you're tired of being sick and tired. You're tired of all these things. And I was like, I get it, and this is the same thing that our followers and our listeners and our friends, family, like everyone tells us. And you had your blood work done. So I guess you kind of already knew, but I was like, get it checked again. But it's the same thing. When you get your blood work checked and you get it looked at by the right people, then you give yourself a higher success rate for optimal health. Mm-hmm. But if you get your blood work done and you have some doctor look at it who's not even in shape himself, you don't necessarily know his track record of helping people transform their lives. You're just in there for a checkup. It's maybe a good idea to start investing in, something a little bit more cutting edge with medicine right now. Yeah. And, what you went through is what I went through, the same thing. Just my hormones were off, my blood panels were off, and very, very blessed to have found the partners of Transcend, Jesse and Ernest, and we're kicking butt this year. It's going great. The company's growing, and it's for a wholesome reason. For doing what we do for a living, there's phases in your life where sometimes you get, you face the option like, man, I don't really know too much about this, but oh, look, they're providing me a great contract. I need to sponsor because I need to compete in all these shows. And so you just take on sponsors. But now we're at this point where we get to choose. We get to create our alignments. And, we have the power in doing what we want. And we're both very particular on who we align with. And this particular alignment with Transcend allows us possibly to save lives, to help marriages. We could go on, help people sleep. How valuable is sleep? Help people with energy. How important is just having energy? And then like in your case where you got used to having low energy.
None. Yeah. And
then when you hit me up, you're like, dude, thank you so much, because I realized I was not operating on all cylinders. I have this V12 awesome, physique you've worked your tail off for, and you're operating in a 4-cylinder engine. And so here we are. Yeah, I just couldn't be happier. That's probably the most stoked spoke to the wheel. I'm excited about this year. That particular business is just, we help people. What's better than that? We help people change their lives.
Absolutely. And it's cool because now I've gotten to experience it for myself.
So I feel like once you experience it for yourself, you get even more excited to be a part of somebody else's life change, or somebody else getting their life back on track, or their energy back, or their sleep better. And, you know, at surface level, energy and sleep and those things, they seem, you know, pretty common or normal. But when you don't have those things and you're not getting proper rest, it really does affect every aspect of your life. Imagine how much more moody you're going to be in your relationships, right, with your significant other when you don't have proper sleep. Imagine how much better you'll think and respond to certain situations when you have proper sleep, when you have good energy, when you're able to, you know, complete your daily tasks without feeling like you're completely taxed just by walking around and doing the normal things that you have to do every single day. So I agree. It's been like one of the best things. Okay. Everybody looks at you now. You have a crazy following on social media, on Instagram especially. You have TikTok. You're all over the place, you know, and from just the outside perspective looking in, it looks like this guy that, you know, looks great, in great shape, beautiful family, beautiful wife, beautiful children, and, you know, successful. So people could just kind of look at you as if like, oh, you know, you have it all together, or, you know, you're just one of those guys that life was just kind of easy for. But we both know, and you kind of filled me in a little bit, but that life wasn't always that way for you. So I kind of want to know, what are some things that you've had to overcome? What are some things that you've grown and, you know, developed in as a man, that have brought you out of maybe some harder times that people don't really see these days?
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, there might be some of your listeners that are like I was, where there's a lot of shame in your mistakes. There's a lot of embarrassment in, you know, some of the bad decisions you've made in life. And, you know, I guess we go through that phase, but when you work hard and you climb out of that ditch you were once in, you realize that, you know, people can relate to this. And I personally, I wish I would have had an older role model, a male figure that would have said like, hey, yeah, you're going to jail a lot. And yes, you went to jail 30 times before you're 21, but keep fighting. Okay. Keep trying to be a good man. Keep trying to make the good decisions, because you can overcome, you know, these bad decisions that you're making right now, and you can actually become successful. And because there's a lot of people that continue to make bad decisions because they don't have the belief that they can become successful.
Wow.
So just me sharing this with you guys, I hope you realize that, you know, you can be a loser like I was. You know, I mean, I'm hard on myself, and I've always been that way. So, you know, you guys might use the word, but I was a loser. And the reason why is because I had a good heart. I had lots of gifts. You know, I had everything I needed. I didn't have much going against me other than myself. So I just, before I was 21, I really hung with the wrong crowd. They were my best friends, and I'm still friends with some of these people. But we had no filter. We did whatever we want. We didn't respect the law. We didn't respect, you know, elders, you could say. And we just went around doing whatever we want. We were little punks. And but like I said, I had a good heart and I knew who I was. It's just I needed to distance myself, you know, from those people, and I needed to distance myself from that belief that, you know, I could go to college, you know, if I wanted to. I could start business if I want to. I could start a career and give back to the world if I wanted to. And when I started to finally see that, that's when I stopped getting in trouble. But yeah, I spent a lot of time in jail for a lot of different things, and you know, straightened up. And really, it was the fitness business is what helped kind of keep me straight. The fitness business, and also just working out, because it instead of like going out all the time at night and you know, drinking with all my friends, you know, I would focus on my diet, my nutrition, my workouts. And it really set me in the right path to start like a personal training career when I was about 22, 23.
So at what point did you kind of realize like, hey, I've got to stop doing all these things that are getting me put in jail, because I actually have something here with this fitness industry and career?
You know, I mean, I mean, jail is jail. It's not fun. It's miserable. And they make it no fun for a reason.
Do you feel like it
And
helped? Like, do you feel like jail helped you to be like, okay, I shouldn't do this? I mean,
yeah. One stint I did like 50 days, and I
wow.
had to drop out of my like sophomore year in college. I had to drop all my credits. I paid for all my college. I didn't have loans. I didn't have a scholarship. My family wasn't able to afford that. So I lost a lot of money, and I was embarrassed. Actually, kind of pretty much lost. My girlfriend was in there as well, and so I lost a lot. And when I came out, I was just embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
So the embarrassment of not succeeding, I guess, is what motivated me. But I knew I could do better. And I knew that I was, kind of a leader mentality. I had a leadership personality, and I just needed to put my leadership, personality into fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I saw, I was like, okay, I love this. I'm not going to finish college because it just wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I started personal training, and it really showed me. This is before social media. This is before personal training was popular like it is now. It wasn't as popular. A lot of people back then, this is 18 years ago, people laughed about training as if like it was some little side job until you figure out what you wanted to do.
Right.
Or, I mean, my grandpa, my dad, and everything, they didn't think it was a real job.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it because I was simply, doing the same thing I'm doing now, helping people get better,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
help, where they would even tell us in our certifications and in our training, you're not a psychologist. I kind of took that on. I was like, you know what, I actually get, my clients are, venting to me,
Mm-hmm.
or they're kind of unloading all their personal issues, and maybe I don't get too involved, but at least I'm just there to listen.
Yeah.
And then I'm soft to speak back, or slow to speak back. But when they ask me, and for advice, I was all of a sudden in a comfortable position as this guy who got into trouble in my youth. Here I am now 24,
Mm-hmm.
giving married women advice that are thinking about leaving their husbands,
Mm-hmm.
and that are talking about, they can't understand why their husbands do this and this. And I'm sitting here just as a friend, really, and
Mm-hmm.
as somebody who helps them deal with their stress for 1 hour, each day, maybe 3 times a week. I was a positive outlet for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it started to give me, just a little confidence that, I have a place in this world,
Mm-hmm.
and my place in the world is to help people heal
Mm-hmm.
through fitness. And that, Jason actually means healer in the Bible.
That's
And
dope. I didn't know that.
my mom told me that. She pounded that in my head. She's like, I named you this for a reason. I prayed over your name. And she told me all throughout high school, all the times I was getting in trouble, all those times I would get out of jail, she would remind me of who God told her I was.
Wow.
And I would always dismiss her because I was like, I'm too stupid to be a doctor. We don't have enough money for me to go to doctor. I don't want to be a doctor. and I was just always thinking medical.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? And then here we are now where, maybe I'm not writing the prescriptions, but I am connecting people with our doctors
Right.
at the team to help people with all sorts of issues that you guys would, goes around in life. So
Mm-hmm.
that, personal training was really the start of finding out like who I was
Mm-hmm.
as just a man that wanted to give back to the world. Not necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
I had no ambitions to take. I had no ambitions to get rich,
Mm-hmm.
drive Lamborghinis, have big houses. I simply was like, you know what? If I can make $100,000 a year as a personal trainer, I know I'm going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I accomplished that by the time I was probably like 25. Which back then, like, cause I'm 40 now.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's a little bit more money than it is now. $100,000 was kind of a big deal at 25.
I think $100,000 is still a big deal. It can go pretty far, especially if you live in Texas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. It sounds to me like you were able to find a lot of purpose and fulfillment in what you were doing. And I think it's important to note that you did it from the heart posture of, this is where I feel I can help the world versus how much money can I make doing this one thing. Because I think what we see right now, especially on social media, is a lot of people who see different opportunities to make a lot of money. So they say, how can I get to the money the fastest? How can I get to the bag the fastest? And the truth is, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If your heart's not truly in it, it's going to be really difficult for you to stick through it for the long run. So I think it's important to really do it for the right reasons, like you were mentioning.
100%.
Yes.
And we've both had the opportunity where people like stand in line to see us.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm sure you're like me. We're like, people are standing in
Yeah.
line to meet. And I'm still like that. I practice gratitude every single day. I'm just grateful for the things that I know that are blessings. I'm grateful for all the small things. And
Mhm.
people would stand in line, and mostly guys come to see me. I still have a lot of females too, but guys would say like, man, so I'm going to become a trainer. Do you have any tips? Like, and I'm like, well, and I ask why.
Mhm.
Why do you want to become a personal trainer? And if your first reason isn't because I want to help people get healthier,
Mhm.
or I want to help my clients get results. I like getting people results. You're probably not going to succeed as a trainer very long,
Mhm.
because people can sniff that out. It's from beginner careers to top level careers. We can all sense when people truly like their job.
Oh
When
yeah.
you go to the grocery store and you have a grocery associate who's just like, doot, doot, doesn't ever say a word to you, you look at the amount, they're like 24.86.
Mhm.
Okay, that person hates their job. But then sometimes you get this wonderful woman who's like,
Mhm.
how are you doing today, sir? Oh man, this is my favorite milk. Oh yeah, I haven't
Mhm.
tried this ice cream. And you could just tell they love their people person.
Mhm.
They got it. They love their job, and they're going to be rewarded for it.
Mhm.
And you have to do that in the fitness business too. Your number one goal should be to get people results even more than yourself,
Yeah.
which is why a lot of bodybuilders,
Mhm.
which we've both done, and a lot of competitors, bikini, they don't always make good personal trainers,
That's
because
true.
while we were competing, we had to worry about, we were number one,
Mhm.
and our clients were second. At least that's the way it was for me. So, I've done both now. I've been a personal trainer when it was all about my clients, and I've been a trainer and an online coach when I was trying to, all those years at Olympia, and it
Mhm.
was like two different trainers.
Yeah, I have to say, I had a trainer for a long time when I lived in California. His name was Doug Fruche, and he was by far like one of the best trainers at his job. And it's because he genuinely loves what he does. So he is like in every single rep with you. You know what I mean? There's a lot of trainers that like, you do multiple sets and reps and like they're there, but like he's there for every part of the rep because he genuinely loves bodybuilding. And like as a client, it made you love it even more. So I have experience of what you're talking about. And I think it's so important to make sure that, your heart's really in it. And also something I wanted to mention is you mentioned the grocery store lady. Some people think that they have to find they have to find their calling somewhere in order to find some purpose in what it is that they're doing. But what I think is you have to really identify like what are those like beautiful parts of yourself and how can you express that in the current position that you're currently in. Right. So if you're already in and you're working at the grocery store and you don't like the grocery store and you want to work somewhere else or have your own business, that's amazing. But don't wait to show the world like that beautiful light that's inside. Because I really do believe that we all have a different light inside and we have a different expression of love to share with people. And so I think if you can find what yours is, it doesn't matter if you take out the trash for your garbage man or you work at the grocery store or you own your own business, you can always let that light shine to other people.
Very true.
So
And opportunities will always come your way
that's true.
when you are letting that light shine.
Yeah,
And
because it attracts other light.
yeah, everyone's watching, and what are you
Mm-hmm.
telling them? You could be
Wow.
at you could be pushing carts at a grocery store, which I did at Costco, outside rounding up everyone's carts. I worked with guys who hated it, complained about the heat, complained about the job, complained about how they wanted to go in the refrigerator aisle. But me, I was out there thinking the best of it. Like, I'm getting a cardio workout. I'm gonna be shredded.
That's right.
Like I was like 20 years old pushing carts, and I'm just, man, trying to figure out how I can push the most.
Uh-huh.
I'm creating competitions with myself. I'm like, I want to let no carts out here whatsoever. And that mentality has stuck with me. So if you guys are watching this and you're at a job where you're like, man, this isn't it and all that, and I get it, sometimes it's not a good fit,
Mm-hmm.
but you never let a job own you. You got to
Mm-hmm.
own the job, and because make them mad that when you leave, by
Yes.
have such a positive attitude and you go above and beyond, that's going to carry with you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all up here. That's what's so tough, because
Mm-hmm.
like I'm talking about it right now, but a lot of people can't just turn on that switch and be
Mm-hmm.
like, I refuse to be negative about my job situation, my money situation right now. I need to commit to being positive about where I'm at, so that I can graduate to the next level and continue this positive momentum. And it doesn't matter, because if you're negative at a beginner job, you're not going to be happy when you get some other cake job. You're still going to find negativity. It's just going to come later. And that's what helped me in fitness. You know, a lot of people ask me, hey, how do you get these big contracts? How do you do this? How do you travel the world? Man, I was happy each step of the way. People notice that, so they invite me to take it to the next step. People aren't going to ask you to do appearances if you're a negative Nancy and you've got a frown on your face. They're not going to invite you to go to Australia and pay you $5,000 to do 1 day appearance. Right. You know, that doesn't happen. And if they do and you get lucky, guess what? They're not inviting you back. So the money comes with it's simple. Like, we could go talk about it in a lot of different angles, but for me, it's just about being grateful for where you're at right now.
Yeah. And so looking back at moments that you've had, like pushing the grocery carts, or maybe financial moments that you've had, like financial burden moments, or times when you were like on the low. I know that when we get in those moments, sometimes we wish that we could skip those moments, or we wish that we could just be successful, just experience the good, just experience the dream job. But now having more life experience, looking back with perspective, why do you feel it's important not to skip those moments?
You know, I think it's important to, build thicker skin, because, there's like, right, we could talk about so many different scenarios, but a common scenario is there's a lot of humans that have not been through a lot in life. They have been, spoon fed, or whatever what's the term? They've been eaten with a silver spoon. They've had money and finances. It's always been extremely stable for them. They didn't necessarily have to get a job till they were like 22, 23, maybe some cases 25. They had insurance, they had healthy, they had no stress. And then when it comes to a life, when they get 28, 29, 30, they realize they haven't been through a lot of the tough obstacles of life, and they're coming, because they're going to keep coming in your 30s, 40s, 50s, all the way till we're dead and gone. We go to see, the man upstairs. They're all but it's almost like you need to welcome those, because like I said, that's something you have to, that practicing gratitude, grateful for the triumphs, or the struggles, grateful for the struggles, because it's all a part of your story, and your story becomes your testimony. Your trials become your testimony. And so if you're one of these people who are like, man, life's just been so easy and I've just made all the great decisions, and all this, there's a possibility that something hard is going to happen, and you're not going to know how to handle it, because there's serious things that happen in life. And if you look at it for what they really are, is, for me, it's always like, this is just something that's meant to happen, but I'm meant to overcome it. Then you tend to welcome those things, if it makes sense.
Yeah, especially because when you do overcome something, it builds so much strength in you. So, to everyone listening, next time they go through something really difficult, look at it as an opportunity to overcome and to show yourself that you can overcome anything. I know for myself, kind of reflecting on what you said about the gratitude part, I've had moments where I was so financially broke that I remember writing in a journal saying, I never want to feel this way ever again in my life. And it was just, my heart was like pouring out, right? I remember that. I remember like unexpectedly like losing friends and experiencing death like multiple times. And now with perspective and years later, what those experiences have done for me is they've given me such an immense gratitude. I now have gratitude that when I check out at the grocery store, I don't need to check my bank account. I can just buy whatever it is that I want, and I don't have to think twice about it. When I'm hanging out with a friend, I am appreciating that moment so much more than if I hadn't like unexpectedly lost multiple people in my life, so it's really made me more present, made me more, given me that gratitude. So I feel like sometimes the hard experiences in life can really show you how to have gratitude for the mundane, because a lot of people get kind of caught up in the mundane part of life. And I think it's important to make that mundane like special and magical, because it really is. What if those normal parts of your life were gone tomorrow? You would have so much more appreciation for it. So I agree. I think gratitude is so important.
the people we date,
Mm-hmm.
my wife. Like I went through, you go through these relationships in life, and everyone listening to this is in some form of relationship or another right now. And, they've also gone through bad relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go through some bad luck with relationships, you start to wonder, man, am I ever going to have a good relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is you will, but you've got to continue to stay positive and be true to yourself. You can't ever let yourself get bitter against other people and, put yourself in a box and close yourself off
Mm-hmm.
from other people, because those people, those alignments, those people who are meant to be in your life are out there. It just so happened I didn't find my person till I was 31.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was right before my 31st birthday. So I was 30 turning 31, and that's when I met my wife. And it's funny because I had went through a lot of relationships where I was, probably in love. We loved each other. We even moved in with each other, different females. And, I thought they were the one.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just all crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And your heart broke, their heart broke. It's one of these things that not everyone really handles too well.
Mm-hmm.
But I always handled it well, but I was still always pretty depressed, like when I would have a breakup, because I'm very loyal, and I don't give up. And so, but what's funny is the time in my life when I was kind of just like threw my hands up. Like I've had probably 3 or 4 girls I've been in love with, and I'm upset. I don't, when am I going to find the one? I was ready to get married. I'm 30 years old at this point. And, happened to be a year I was sick too. I was really sick and depressed. I lost all my health from type 1 diabetes. I was just, that's really when I got even closer with God. Like, God, where is my person?
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm meant to be with a woman. I treat women good. I have a great time. Like, I know I'm not one of these guys going to be single my whole life. Like, where is my person? And what's funny is something told me, well, dude, you've kind of been sleeping around, and you've been having sex, and every single relationship you get involved real quick. All of a sudden the love sparks and you're just going at it. And something just told me, step back, be abstinent for a year.
Wow.
No sex, no dating, no relationships, and just worry about you right now. You've got a lot on your plate. You're sick, so get healthier. You have no money, so get your money back. There was a lot of things that I needed to put into place, and I wasn't ready to lead a woman into a relationship yet. So the funny thing is, I did it a whole year abstinent. Then all of a sudden, during that time, I'm also my health is coming back. I'm competing in the IFBB, or NPC. I get my pro card. And the day that I get my pro card was about a month after I had been abstinent for a whole year. No date. And I'm saying abstinent from sex, but also abstinent from dating.
Wow.
No dating. Like
wow,
no
wow,
dates. Wow. Girls were just friends. I met the day that I get my biggest trophy reward I ever got, which is my IFBB Pro card at the time. I go to the pool. I'm at the Encore Beach Club in Vegas, and I walk up, and I meet my wife at the pool.
Wow.
Didn't know she was my wife at the time.
That's so cool.
But yeah, so it was like I was sober, too. That was another part of my abstinence. I felt like I needed to be abstinent from alcohol. I didn't drink, no drugs, nothing. It was just a pure lifestyle to get my mind and get my confidence, money, everything all back.
Wow.
And walk up, meet her mom first. Actually, her mom was gorgeous
Your mom was in Vegas with her?
Oh, just like,
oh, stop. That's awesome.
Like, cute as can be. And I was like, well, her mom, if a mom looked, and she said, she's like, she's got a real deep Cajun accent from New Orleans. She said, you got to meet my daughter. She's like, you're going to marry us someday. And I was like, oh, I am. I was like, okay. She was joking, but I was like, okay, where's she at? She pointed over there at the pool. And I was like, okay, yeah. So, yeah. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree here. She's beautiful like her mom, and we just hit it off. And then that's when it all started. The whole relationship. It's been 9 years, and
wow.
Now we got 3 kids.
That's incredible. So, okay, I want to talk about that year off that you had. One, was that hard when you were in it? And then two, what was the result of that? Like after being someone who's done that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that are like kind of identifying with where you were and saying in their minds, like they probably know that maybe they should do something like that. So I want to get into like, was it difficult for you? What helped you to, stay true to what you said you were going to do? And then what was kind of the result of that?
Man, it was powerful. So think about all those times when your mind and your body starts telling you you need someone. And then you go get that. You go get someone. Whether in one form or another, whether it's sexual or whether it's just, a slight a hug, watching a movie together, go trying to develop a relationship because you feel like your mind just wants you to go. You need someone. I need someone in my life. I've always had someone. I need this. I need to be attached to a person. But you've always done that, and then you just don't do it anymore. So what do? You have to look internally. And for me also spiritually, I had to look, started reading my Bible more, started going to church more, started praying. It just helped me find myself. It helped me find who Jason really was, because I've always been good at dating and getting females, but I didn't do that anymore. And it was hard because I had emotional attachment to always engaging with the females. And so when I took that away, I also developed more friendships with females, true, real friendships. I started looking at females differently than just sex objects, which I was always very respectful, but still, I was just like women, a lot of guys listen to this. Women are this, and this. No, they weren't that anymore. Now they were true friends, and I was valuing them for what they brought to my life other than sexually. And it really opened my eyes to finding what helped the best female for me, because I always look at females for physical reasons. And now I was more focused on, all right, I need to find that wifey material. Like, who's going to raise my kids? Who am I going to trust to be with my kids when I'm not there? Who am I going to trust to, balance my finances with me? All the things you have to do in a marriage. Like, who can I truly trust now? And it took abstinence to help me to step away to realize what I truly needed.
Wow, that's huge. That's powerful. I think it's amazing that you were able to do that for yourself. And it's funny how when we just take a step back, we're able to gain a lot of clarity. Because I think sometimes when we're too involved with everything, right, whether it's, drinking, even just on the weekends, or always fulfilling that need, whether it's like sexually or with alcohol or drugs or whatever, we don't really have the clarity we need to make good choices, right? And even if it's something as simple as, which is not simple, it's actually the biggest choice, but like who to date, right? Of who you're going to choose to be your most significant other person. So I think it's important to give yourself that time to really get clarity in your life. Because when you have clarity, it just becomes a lot easier to see, left from right, right from wrong, that kind of thing.
Let me say this, because I feel like females are better at this and males don't know this.
Okay.
So all the homies out there, let me tell you the females trick. When you take yourself off the market, like really do, the DMs start coming even more. The text messages, because I feel like females can see that energy and that vibe that this guy's serious. He's not a hoe. He's not a playboy. This dude is focused on his goals. He's not looking at me like a piece of meat. He's looking at me intellectually. And I think there's a lot of females that respect that. And so I think females do it a lot. They take themselves away. They don't date a lot of guys. And I know guys tend to be attracted to that too. It's kind of like an unsaid thing, but like when you see a female who is just mature in her emotions and doesn't need you, you tend to be more attracted to her even more. And let's look at like clingy people, people who are super clingy and super quick, like to jump in. It's the relationship's good at the beginning, but then sometimes, that can cause issues later down the relationship. So I had to add that in, that guys, when you take yourself off the market and you really commit to it, if you can do it for a year, you're going to see some of the best, hottest chicks come and try to, and you got to stick with it though.
Yeah.
And at least that's what worked for me. Cause during that time I had probably the prettiest girls ever. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, is this the way? And then it kind of motivated me though. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna keep waiting.
Right. Of course. Yeah, no, I think it's actually important to mention that because it's like, you know, people always say, okay, I want to find wifey material, right? But it's like, okay, are you being husband material right now? Are your actions, are your DMs, are all of those things husband material, right? Same things for girls. Like, you want to find husband material. Are you being wife material? Or are you talking to every guy that DMs you, right? Are you having multiple, you know, situationships, right? So I think it's important for people to realize, like, what is my goal and what version of me is required to show up in order for that goal to actually happen. If I'm not acting like wifey material, I'm not going to find a suitable husband, right? And so I think it's hard because you do have to kind of hold yourself back from maybe everything that you want, right? I feel like we're in a society that tells you that if you want something and it's not hurting you and it's not hurting the other person, that you should just have it. But that's not always the wise thing to do. And it's not always the thing that's going to get you, you know, what you're looking for in life, which if you're valuing these things like a marriage and, you know, a husband or a wife or, you know, a business or thriving friendships, whatever it is, you have to ask yourself what version of me has to show up in order for that to happen and in order for it to flourish as well.
Yeah.
So
very true.
Okay. So you mentioned that you've been married about 4 years now, together 9 years. So you're coming up on the 10-year mark of being together, which I think is incredible. I'm always like championing the relationships that I see that are thriving and doing well. But I want to know, as somebody that has a lot of relationship experience, what is the work that you've done personally on yourself that has helped you to show up better in relationship?
You know, there's a lot. First of all, the action of a man looking at himself and putting the relationship on his shoulders is the most important part. So how I did it might be different than some of these other fellas listening might do it, but this is what's worked for me. You know, the foundation of the relationship, I feel like is my priority. Okay. It doesn't mean like she doesn't have the priority either, but how the emotions in the house, how we communicate, what we do when tensions are heated, what we do when we're, getting over a fight, how are we ending a fight, or when we have discussions, in our relationship, I tend to put that on my shoulders and, make sure that, we're just balanced and level in all aspects of relationship. So like it just, and I wear that priority with pride because, I think, that's the way it should be. I'm old school. I'm very old school.
Yeah, I feel like that would take a lot of humility because, I mean, I imagine like after a conflict and stuff, as taking the responsibility for making sure you're balanced, that would require you to like sometimes, maybe a lot of the times, put your own emotions aside and like balance everything back out and bring you guys back together, which is a big feat. It takes someone who, isn't prideful in order to do that. Have you had to practice at that?
Yeah, no, you said it. Yeah, much better than I did. It is humility and being, and the man of a relationship that, you're quick to say you're sorry. You're quick to understand, even when something might not be your fault. You still feel like you're sorry because you're in this together. Like I really encourage us, and we're on the same page now, is just being a true team. There is no, oh, it's your fault. Oh, or this fault. Yeah, we get in situations where sometimes we're like, you know what, I really feel like you should take credit for this because I don't want to have this problem again. And the way we talk now is much different than the way we talked at the beginning. But just being very honest and saying, like, hey, listen, I'll always forgive you, but I feel like this is something that you need to work on, and just so we don't have to deal with this again. But the humility is exactly right. In that, if I wouldn't say when you're married, it's different because when you're dating, I think the rules are kind of changed. They're changed a little bit. When you're married, where we're at now, it's about, constantly just, getting over those hurdles and those fights so that it doesn't affect your daily activities. And we're both so busy that, we have issues and we just bounce right off of it super quick so we can get on with the rest of our day. But I'll say this, as I initiated that, she's actually really, really good at ignoring all issues until all of a sudden she just can't ignore anymore. And she blows up.
Right.
She internalizes everything and doesn't want to talk about absolutely anything. But I put it on my shoulders to make sure our relationship is healthy. But whether it's books or podcasts or I don't know how people do it without some type of godly influence,
right?
But whether it's me just going to church or being around, my Christian friends or reading a Christian book, it's a big part of how I lead our family and my marriage. Because here's another example is my wife was, when I met her, Sheena wasn't in church. She was Catholic, but she wasn't like she wasn't a devout Catholic or anything like that. So I felt like, I want to encourage her to come to church with me, and not to be holy. And it's not to, because we just going to church to go to church. It's because I wanted the foundation of our relationship to be God. And that really took us to a whole nother level. It took us to a whole nother level because, like I say, and a lot of people say, a couple that prays together stays together. So we pray over our problems, we pray over our issues, we pray over our fights.
Wow.
We've had serious stuff and serious, issues like everyone, but we've prayed over them and we've overcome them.
I think when you do that, it kind of what we were just talking about in the relationship, when you involve God with it, it's both of you submitting yourself to him, right? So you're able to come to him and put your own egos aside and you give it up to him, right? Surrender those problems, those issues as a team. And I feel like it kind of unites you by being able to do that together. So I think that's really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I want to switch gears a little bit as we kind of get towards the end of the show today. So you are the only type 1 diabetic to ever make it to the Olympia. So talk to me a little bit about competing with type 1 diabetes and how that has impacted your preps, how you've overcome it, how you've been able to get to the Olympia doing that.
Well, I started competing just because of type 1 diabetes. I thought that was really the only thing I could compete in because I was playing a lot of sports before. I was very active. I did a lot of performance-based workouts. It was always running and lifting. It was a well-rounded hybrid program, kind of like what I'm doing now, actually. But before it was sports 5 days a week. I was, workouts would burn a ton of calories, and I didn't have to monitor my blood sugar. And then when that happened, it's like, wait, I go try to play basketball, my blood sugar crashes. I'm even trying to play softball, and I'm crashing in the middle of a softball game, intramural softball game. I'm trying to play indoor soccer. Heck no, that ain't happening, dude. I couldn't control my blood sugar. So it's like, what do I do? I'm a competitive dude. Like I love fitness. I'm a trainer, nutritionist. I want to compete in something. So then came the physique division in 2011. So, and that was right when I was really sick. I was diagnosed that year. And so I was watching while I was skin and bones and, shriveling away. I was 145 pounds. I'm 222 right now.
Wow.
Yeah. 145 pounds.
That's rough.
Was just, thin. And, but I'm watching these dudes that I used to work out with compete in this physique show. And I'm at this show and I'm actually the stagehand. I'm the one moving the equipment backstage. I'm the one setting up the booths. I was the Europa in Dallas. I was just an assistant stagehand. They paid me really good, but I wasn't there competing. I wasn't an endorsed athlete. I wasn't a IFBB Pro, Jason Poston, like they know me. Wow. I was the skinny dude,
That's wild.
emptying trash cans, and doing whatever Ed Pariso asked me to do. Ed was the owner of the show. So like, that was my introduction. I'm sitting there just skin and bones watching these physique dudes compete. And I'm like, man, I beat him in a fitness model contest like 3 years ago. I was like, man, if I can just get healthy, if I figure out what's wrong with me, I'm going to get up there. And I literally, it was like a scene out of a movie. I'm literally like holding a trash bag, watching these physique guys like up there.
I wish you could find a photo from you back then and then do a side-by-side now. That would be so cool.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you. I think I have one, or one of my buddies has one, because we were working together. And I was so unbelievably grumpy too. Oh my, because I wasn't absorbing the nutrients. I had withered away and lost like 45 pounds. So I was extremely grumpy, and my blood sugar sky high, like almost comatose level. So the type 1 diabetes went from being sick at a show, watching people and emptying the trash, to a year later being at the same show and being a pro. I got my pro card in 9 months.
That's insane.
So I gained all my weight back. It really was. It was crazy. I gained my weight back. I think I had lost 45 pounds, and I remember I gained 30 pounds back in 30 days. And then I gained about another 20 pounds. So I gained a little bit more than I was before, because I was on this track, like eating perfect. I wasn't drinking anymore, no drugs or anything like that anymore. So my body just really grew. And I ended up winning a local show, and then being back at that same show with like my first little sponsor. I'm working the booth, whereas a year earlier I was, the assistant stagehand maintenance guy.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
But the type 1 diabetes was an outlet for me to, the minute I was diagnosed, and this doctor grabs insulin, and he's like, you're going to have to do this the rest of your life. This is what you do. And he didn't do it right there. It was in my stomach. But I remember just feeling this. I started to absorb these nutrients, and I was like, whoa. And he's like, yeah, you need to go eat. Go walk down the hallway, go to Subway, down the hospital, and get your sandwich, because you don't want you, and I'll teach you how this is all going to work. And I'm walking, and I felt like I had just walked. I felt like this. I couldn't even stand up, the whole year, cracks in my mouth, my body was just shriveled, and I looked like a crackhead. And then I remember just feeling this like uprise like this. And I was like, wow, let's go. Wow. And I think I just screamed in the hallway all by myself, went and got my Subway, came back. I didn't have insurance, didn't have money yet, but I joined a research study where they gave me insulin, and I got free insulin. I did a research study for a whole year. By a year passed, and of getting insurance, like I said, got my pro card, met Sheena, met the girl of my dreams. And that's, so type 1 was almost like, it was definitely a gift and a curse. And it still has its issues. Like in the middle, we just had to cut the podcast because I needed to go, inject some insulin. My blood sugar is kind of spiking up. But, and it always was at the Olympia, every show, there was something different that would happen. And I really think, diabetes didn't inhibit me. I definitely beat the disease to get, to become the only male to ever get to Olympia, but it also did hold me back a little bit because there's certain things I couldn't do. I couldn't load up on carbs the same way. I couldn't dry out and take diuretics like the other guys. There's a lot of different compounds that weren't available to me, like the certain fat burners and stuff. So where it definitely kept me on point with my nutrition, because I got to count every single food before I eat it. I got to count all the macros to inject the insulin. It's a double-edged sword is what I'm trying to say. There's when you take something where you have to live a meticulous life with nutrition wise, and you look at the positive side of it, that's what it'll be.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it was a really good growing experience for you with everything that you had to kind of overcome with this new lifestyle. And it makes sense, honestly, why you kind of went into competing, because if you're already having to be so meticulous about everything you're eating and your timing and, making sure your levels are all checked, then somebody who has that level of dedication to the details does really well in competing, I think. So you mentioned you were an athlete in so many different things. You were kind of like this hybrid athlete, right? Which I believe started your app. So tell me a little bit about the app that you have.
Yeah, this is a new chapter now. We're constantly starting new chapters in our lives. And so my next chapter is is getting back to the way I trained in my 20s. My 20s was all about sports performance and just being a badass athlete. And then my 30s was all bodybuilding. And now here I am, I turned 40, and it's been a few years. I've been getting back into more functional training, but now I'm pushing to do boxing, and I'm pushing to, you know, be able to run, do sprint triathlons and different types of sporting events other than, you know, just looking good, like, which is what bodybuilding is. So the hybrid training app, you're actually looking at it now, we have a different workout every single day. So it's constantly scaling and building up your bodies to reach your highest form of fitness. So like Emily's highest form of fitness might be different than, you know, my wife's highest form of fitness. But the point is, you're logging your workouts and, you know, calculating all your best lifts, and you do it all within the app, super easy, so that, you know, you can, number one, be accountable. Every single day you have a workout. So you just simply open up your app and do it. And then also, since you're logging, like you said, like was a benefit of, you know, a meticulous type 1 diabetic, I have to log and calculate all my food. Now you're logging and calculating all your workouts. So most people don't know how much they lifted on a lift last week or even 3 months ago. They can't remember. But with this, you can get charts and statistical data, and shows you like, hey, this workout's supposed to be 75% of your max. And this is what, based on what you've logged the last 3 months, this is your 75% of your max right here. So
that's dope.
You should be able to
talk about optimizing your training.
Yeah. And it's what's funny. Like I'm a customer too. Like I log all my workouts. I do it. It keeps me accountable now as a dad, because for the first time in my life, you know, I don't working out is not my first priority. When you have kids, your workouts are way down the list. Doesn't mean you don't get it done. It just means you need to be super efficient. So if you have systems and apps, if you have a coach or somebody who helps you stay efficient, always worth the investment.
Yeah, I can see why that would be so much more important when you have that much on your plate, you know, so you can show up, you have a plan, you know exactly what you're doing. And like for me, one reason why I liked having a trainer is because I didn't have to think, right? All day long, I'm having to make all these decisions and having interviews and all these things. My mind is everywhere. So going into a session where I don't really have to think, I have a, you know, program already laid out for me and I can just follow it, feels so nice. So, okay, well, so people can download the app? Do you have a link for it?
Yeah. The link is on my Instagram bio.
It's also down below.
Yeah. Is it down below on your podcast? Yeah, down there.
I'll put it there. Cool. Yeah. If it's just a link, I'll definitely place it in the description box below, as well as on the YouTube video if you guys are watching on YouTube. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover or say, or any last piece of advice you wanted to give?
You know, we're just we're in tough times right now, and more important than ever, I think. In a time when everyone is, you know, looking at everyone else, and we're constantly looking at social media and the news and TV and celebrities, it's a common trend that I see amongst my friends who are very happy, very successful, millionaires, billionaires, is they're not so focused on what everyone else is doing, you know. And if you can take something from me, which I hope you can, it's that, you know, my most successful times in my life, when I scaled the fastest and I grew and I made money and I was happiest, was when I wasn't focused so much on other people. I was really just focused on my own heart, my own mind, my own body, and less focused on everyone else. So if you're in a position where you feel like you're not where you want to be in life, look and see if you're too focused on other people. You know, start investing in yourself, morning to night, every single day. That's what I did when I was sick. That's when I did when I felt like my relationships were failing. That's when I did when I got, you know, when I look back and I realized I had been in jail more than I had free days, you know, when I was 21. All the most important times of my life, I internalized and really just, simple as that, focused on myself, invested, books, audiobooks, mentors. Nowadays it's content. We didn't have social media, but really just, I think it's a big time in our life. If we weren't so focused on what other countries are doing and what this politicians are doing and what's this, I'm not saying you should ignore that stuff, but if you're not able to help handle it, and if you're at a point where you're not happy in life, it's time to just look yourself in the mirror every single day and say, it's time to get better. It's time to reach my highest form. So let's go.
Damn, that is beautifully said. I could not say it better. So thank you so much for your words of advice, for your time here today. I know the audience loves it. I told some people that I was interviewing you and they were really excited for it. So I know this is going to be a great episode. Thank you so much, Jason, for your time.
You're welcome.
Of course.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon too.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, everybody that is listening or watching, all of Jason's links will be down below. Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to tag both Jason and myself on Instagram. You can share this podcast with a friend, rate and review it if you enjoy the show. That helps the show grow. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one. Bye.